So my name's Kevin Comellas. I have Little Havana in the Worcester Public Market. Working on a second Little Havana. I have the New England Burger Bar that I'm partners in, and Tapavino. This has been a long project we've been working on since October of last year we started. This was an empty room, and now we have an entire restaurant. Tapavino is going to be charcuterie, cheese, cocktails, wine, Barcelona, Spanish style tapas in small plates. Really, I'm putting everything I have in my soul into this place. I come from a multifaceted career background, so I was the corporate executive chef for the largest catering company in the state. I was running 14 different kitchens, at one point with 100 employees that were cooks and, a bunch of front of house and a bunch of 15 different vehicles that we were running for catering and everything. So I'm used to being really busy. So, I started with just Little Havana and I needed more. So I kind of like doing a lot all at once, and for me, it's fun. My mother is a Spanish to English interpreter. She works from home. And growing up, my father was always on business trips around the world, and she would work from home doing, her phone calls and then cooking and cleaning and taking care of me and my brother. When she would cook, she would put me on the kitchen counter, and I was always her taste tester. And she quickly realized that my palate was unique, that I knew what things needed. I would tell her like more salt and everything at 3 years old. So eventually they actually bought me one of those Fisher-Price plastic kitchens, and it was my favorite toy. I used it till I was like 8 or 9 years old, and they knew I was going to be a chef at that point. I was with Rebecca's for almost 10 years. It was a very, prestigious position. It was, I had really good benefits, really good salary, and I got the opportunity to be involved in Havana Nights on Park Avenue with the potential of opening, a lot of other restaurants, and it didn't play out the way I thought it was going to. And, at first it was scary and I had a lot of regrets. And the last 6 months, things have slowly started changing between taking over the burger bar and starting the Tapavino project, and in progress for another burger bar and another Little Havana. But there was quite a while that I was regretting my decision, and that was a big risk. Worcester is very much up and coming, especially in the Canal District where we are now with the Worcester Public Market and all the new apartments going up in Polar Park. For the last 20 or 30 years, to get a nice meal in Worcester, you really had 2 or 3 choices, Sole Proprietor, 111 Chop House, some of the niche hospitality restaurants, and that was it, Bocado. And now you're really starting to see a lot of young, hungry chefs coming in. I like to think myself. Drew Day from Ruby Doos is doing a lot of really special stuff. Wooden Bar is another example that's doing crazy, amazing food. Dead Horse Hill, and we're really starting to get those kind of Cambridge, Somerville vibes, and really trying to push the agenda for more modern, chef-driven food. And it's nice to be a part of it. My signature dish is, believe it or not, it's risotto, which sounds simple, but growing up in a Cuban household, I had always eaten rice and beans growing up. So, risotto is also rice, but it's done completely differently. And I had never even seen it growing up in Miami. And when I went to culinary school, one of my classes, we learned how to make it, and I absolutely messed it up. Like I just didn't make any sense to me that you cook rice while stirring super slow, and somehow that's delicious and cheesy, and it came out terrible. So I became obsessed with making it correctly, and probably my first 2 years of culinary school, I must have made risotto like 300 times until I perfected it. There's something I've always taken very seriously, and that is, you don't have to be an egomaniac. You don't have to be someone who has a lot of vices, whether it's drinking or drugs. You don't need to be someone that, treats your employees terrible. And so many people believe that chefs are all like Gordon Ramsay and that's how they treat their people. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of chefs like that. But to be at the top echelon, to be, one of the culinary leaders, and hopefully one day I'll be one of those in Worcester, you don't need to be like that. Your staff is your family. Your customers are your fans, and you should treat them with respect and really cherish every single one of them, because they're the ones that are putting food on your table. And there's no reason to have that mentality. At the end of the day, it's just food. We're just making food. Tapavino is something I've always kind of had in my heart. So although I'm Cuban, both my parents are from Cuba. My roots from my great-grandparents and before are all in Barcelona, so tapas are very special to me. I've always wanted to exclusively own my own restaurant. That's 100% my brainchild. But at the same time, really bringing something, in my opinion, that Worcester really doesn't have. I mean, we have, there's obviously Bocado in Worcester and some other places with similar format, but what Tapavino really is going to be is that restaurant experience you might get in Brookline or South Boston or Cambridge, where it's 50, 60 seats. The chef is right there in front of you all the time. He's going out to tables, talking to people, really building relationships with his customers or his guests. And, that is something that I think Worcester really needs.